All right, we are live. Hey, Stella.
Hello, everybody.
All right, I'm going to go into the chat here and welcome everybody as they start joining us. We got Mark from warmer Minnesota and Tammy from North Carolina so far saying hi. Hopefully you guys can see us and hear us. Give us a shout out in the chat if you're joining us live today. I'll just do some quick intros. My name is Lisa. I'm part of the team here at PhotoDay, and today's webinar is featuring our special guest and Trailblazer, Stella Crase. So Stella's actually got two businesses, and so just a little bit about Stella here. Stella and I met in the very, very beginning of PhotoDay, and you guys all know the story. Met Stella, and you know, it was wild, right? Like we had so many crazy ideas with this thing, and I know you were intrigued. I remember I met with your former office manager, the girl who was running everything, right?
Yep.
And you were like, had doubts. You're like, man, I'm never doing this without any kind of prepay. There is no way.
Right.
And then what, 6-7 months went by, and you gave me a call that summer. You were trying it out, right?
It was once advance pay came on.
Yeah.
Because there was no way I was giving up the thousands of dollars on Saturday opening. This was like, too risky, roofing, waiting for parents to, pay. So I couldn't deal with it. And then once advance pay came on, I started dabbling in it, and my assistant manager quit on me late July, and I had football starting in 2 weeks and schools and everything else. I just thought, you know what, I got to roll the dice on this, because there's no way I can be buried in order without having enough time to train somebody. So I just said, I'm just going for it. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Awesome. I love you too. So we got some more people giving us shout outs in the chat. Thank you guys, letting us know you can see and hear us. Let's see who we got here. We got Cincinnati, Michael Schneider from Cincinnati, Derek. What's up, Derek? John, we got North Carolina too, Utah, upstate.
And we got Jonathan from Maryland, and I've got my Terp shirt on today because I am a Terp.
There you go.
Baseball. Okay, let's just put it at that. All right, baseball is pretty good this. They're going to go all the way again. So we'll see. Awesome.
All right, so quick housekeeping rules, right? So from the time we talk till the time we see your messages pop up in the chat, there's about a 10-second delay. If we have connection problems, or you guys have connection or lose sound or video at any time, there should be a reconnect button at the top of your screen, or you can just refresh. It should let you right back into the room, and you can pick up where we left off. Stella, same for you. For me, I don't know if you guys are getting it now, but Stella has a little bit of a lower signal. But I don't know if that's me or if that's Stella, but let us know on that as well. So we're going to dive in today. Again, Stella, I know it's your busy season, so thank you for making the time for all of us here to tell us how you do things for dance photography. But first, can you tell us a little bit about your business? And you got two businesses going on, right?
Right. Well, so I have Mini Pro Photos. First of all, I bought my business 17 years ago. So I've been doing this for 17 years, and it was Mini Pro Sports Photos. I bought it from a previous owner, and it was small. It was really just weekend work. And my kids were young then, so it worked great. And then as my kids got older, I started expanding. And once I got into school, military ball that asked me to do photos, like, formal photos. And I thought, I can't go in there and tell them to write a check to Mini Pro Sports Photos. So I had to have a second name that was more appropriate. So my second business, photography, and I decided that was going to be my corporate business, school business, anything that wasn't youth sports related, headshots, whatever. So I do have the two businesses. So grown. I have about probably I think I have 10 to 12 schools right now. I can't tell. I picked up a couple preschools. So, and then I really, as far as leagues, we're talking about a league the other day. For me, a league is like, I have one organization that I may do football, baseball, field hockey, basketball. To me, that's 5 leagues, because they're like 5 groups of like 200 to 500, maybe 700 people. Each of those to me is a league. So I do photograph probably about 60 leagues a year. So, and they range in size typically from probably a minimum of 10 teams to up to 75 teams is probably the largest league that I have. So, and then as far as schools go, since we're talking about this, I did get started in dance schools as assistant manager. Her mother owned and that was years ago, doing dance. And I have 5 dance schools now. And I told Lisa, I just booked a really small one for May 16th. It's only 30 girls, 10 different dances. Just go do that on a Monday night by myself, and it's fine. So I have about 4 or 5 now that I'm doing, each season. So, yeah. So I guess I got it in a nutshell. I'm sure people have.
Well, I just, being a studio that does a little bit of everything, you got youth sports, you do high school sports, you got schools, and I think you do a daycare too, right?
I just did. Yeah. Last week, I got 2 I've got 2 preschools, basically. Yeah. Yeah. One's a public school, but it's like an ECC. So, they're between the 3 really. They're really a preschool, elementary school.
Yeah, for sure. But it's nice to have, one of the, visions behind PhotoDay when we were creating it was just to have one workflow for all different types of jobs, right? So you can do just that. You can expand your staff, the hours work. If you're just doing sports, you might just be doing afternoons and weekends. But if you add in schools, you're doing mornings during the week. So, this is a really nice way to expand and not have everything going on all at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Everything that I do all goes through PhotoDay. High school sports, youth sports, schools, everything that I do, even my high school seniors that I do. I don't do a whole lot of them, but I just put on PhotoDay, and then if they have some requests like they want retouching, because that's always been a big hang up of people, of course I can do retouching that's offered then is offered on PhotoDay. But that's just per request, and of course I would charge appropriately for that.
Yeah, well, okay, so we're in the way here. I knew we were gonna have to move ourselves around on the screen, but so let's talk about gallery types, because you can do all different types of jobs with PhotoDay. What gallery type specifically are you using for dance, and why?
Well, I use private galleries thing. I do have a brand new cheer competition group this Saturday that has elected to just go the group. They're the only organization right now that I'm doing a group for, and they're brand new. And I think it's just because they wanted to see all the photos. So I think they didn't want it private. I think they want to see it all. But I go with private mainly because I believe in what Lisa's research has shown through PhotoDay, that parents will order quicker, faster, and more if you provide a path of least resistance. And with the private gallery, it's pretty instant that the parent just goes right to their kids' photos. They get their favorite ones. They can order right then and there, instead of having to do a search, whether you even use FaceFind and trying to find the pictures in a group gallery. I just think that's the easiest way, and I think the most effective selling tool is to go directly to the parent with just their kids' images. So I've never used public galleries before. I don't do anything. Most of my youth sports, my schools, of course, they really prefer the private gallery.
Yeah. So, it's just, there's no really like right or wrong way to do things, right? Depending on the use case, but there's a flexible gallery type for everybody. So today we're going to be talking all about those private galleries and how to use that effectively for dance. So I guess one of the things that comes with private galleries, right, is obtaining data first. So we kind of have a little checklist here. We can talk about how you get the data, how you ask for the data, all of that good stuff. Could you let us know?
Well, yeah, I just asked for it. I tell them this is the process. I said, I need your dancers' names, parent contact emails. Well, for dance in particular, I don't need to know all the dances. I only need to know that for scheduling, but I don't need it for the selling tool with using PhotoDay with the images. So, so that aside, I just try to have them send that to me separately. So I just have the dancer's first name, last name, contact emails. And then, like I said, they do include the dances that they're in, but I kind of don't need that with importing it into PhotoDay. I really don't have a whole lot of resistance on getting that at all. I just mentioned the one cheer group, and I think that they just wanted to have the group gallery because I think they wanted to see the images. Now, the preschool that I have next week, it is a public school, so they will not give me emails. So I do use Sign Up Genius, and I just actually downloaded the report this morning and sent it to her to show her who has signed up. And then I will create a private gallery because the parents have basically given me permission to email them with signing up for photos. So they will be receiving their unique access code probably tomorrow because photos are scheduled on Tuesday. I'm just waiting to get as many emails as possible before I notify the parents because it'll take a few days. You know, and I never expire my gallery, so, you know, they'll have time to order. But I just, as far as following up with the decision makers, so I kind of tell them, you know, who has signed up. Oh, and with dance schools, looking at this, as far as the advance pay required $20 deposit. Yes, for my dance schools, I do require a $20 deposit per dancer, not per dance. And that is, you know, applied towards our order, just an advance pay deposit. And then I usually offer them free shipping if they spend with dance $40 or more, they would get free shipping. And for brand new dance schools that I'm not sure, you know, if you're going to be camping out in a dance school all day, I basically give them a deadline where, depending on how many kids and how long I'm going to be there, 50% of the dancers have to opt in by a certain date for me. Because I need the director to be talking this up as well, because if you've done dance before, you know, you're there sometimes from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. It's a 12-hour day, or it can be. And, you know, if you only have 10 girls buying, that's not effective use of your time or a good piece of business. So I need them to be committed to that they really want to buy and they want the pictures, especially when, you know, once I've had a dance school for a few years and I know what to expect, then I'm not so stringent on requiring the deposit. I do include it for incentive with the free shipping, just so I can get some cash up front to help cover any costs that I have involved with doing PhotoDay itself. Anyway, so I guess that's really, you know,
yeah.
Right
well,
now.
and I think to maximize the participation on PhotoDay, you're doing the deposit, you're requiring the dance school to help you communicate, but you're also doing some pre-marketing, right? So you're using the PhotoDay's pre-marketing, you're getting the emails.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, that goes out. So once I've got those emails, then I send that out with what to expect. I include some, you know, sample photos. This year, this season, I'll be doing all white. So I kind of give them a heads up on what to expect, that, you know, they'll have all white backgrounds this year so that they kind of know. And just any other particulars. I have my new dance school that I just booked for the end of May. You never know what the directors are really saying to the parents or how strong they are as business people with the parents. So sometimes you need to take the bull by the horns and tell your parents that you have limited space. The girls have to show up with makeup on, hair done, and in that first costume because space is limited. So I'll include that in my communication with the parents as well. So you, as a business person, you can't always let the director push you around with when and how you're going to do the photos. You need to know best and take control of the situation and make sure that your day is going to flow also, because it is very involved. And it needs to go quickly because you can't really have a lot of downtime. You need the individuals that go through group photo, next group. So, and the director needs to understand that it needs to be organized in that way for it to be successful. And so parents aren't upset or girls aren't crying because they're waiting around forever, you know, the things that can happen. So.
Yeah. And I think especially important if you're just getting into dance, or you've booked your first dance school, or you booked a new school you've never done business with before, because everybody does things a little bit different. And sometimes dance schools might have not had a photographer, or they might be a new school and they have no idea how picture day's supposed to go and how to fit it in with their current class schedule.
Right.
So that part is really important, I think, to make sure you have that all specced out and visualized, like, okay, how is picture day or picture days, how are they going to go?
Right.
For the families.
Mm-hmm.
So Yep. Oh, Mark made a comment. Some dancers and athletes like seeing their friends' pictures as well, so I'm a little reluctant for private galleries. Am I wrong? No, Mark, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do things. Not when it comes to this stuff. Now, when it comes to like privacy laws in a public school setting, yes, private all the way. But I mean, for these group galleries, or when you're doing large groups, it's really a preference on how you're going to do your sales and marketing, the data you have, the communication you're comfortable with. I mean, would you agree with that, Stella?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to share their photos. We already know that they like screenshot them on their phones and stuff like that and share them anyway. So, you know, I just haven't had any issues with that. So it's never come up that, you know, oh, they really want to see everybody's pictures. That just hasn't come up. I mean, of course, the director wants to see all the pictures. And if I have to, I'll set up just a gallery just for them with an access code for them to see everybody's pictures. So I'll just create that gallery. But I think I've only had to do that for one dance school that asked for that.
Yeah.
Because I give the dance schools complimentary digital files of the group photos, not the individuals. So, you know, and they're usually fine with that because they see all that. But so I have never had that. I'm not sure. Patrick talked about build a gallery for a school for all their sports into one gallery. I'm not sure.
Patrick,
what that means.
Well, it's not related to this, but Patrick, there's a webinar for PhotoDay for high school sports we just did with Ed and Kathleen Martin of LK Images, and we touched on that a lot in that webinar. So check that one out in our webinars replay, or you can just go to webinars.photoday.io and go to replay, and that's there. But yeah, let's see. Do you give any to the dance school for their use? I'm assuming Erica meant the digital files. Mm-hmm.
Digital files or okay. I only one of my dance schools has asked for money, so they need to meet a certain minimum. I have a sliding scale with them, so I can't remember what the percentage is. I want to say I'd have to look at it, but if let's just say 50% to 65% participate, I give them 10%. If 65 to 80% participate, maybe I give them 20% or something like that. So I'll do a sliding scale for any schools that, depending on participation. So it is participation and how many people actually buy, and of course, you know, total sales and stuff like that. So
and you are giving the dance school an incentive to help you spread the word to maximize participation. So anything you give, make sure you're going to receive something in return, right? I mean, that's the name of the game. That's why we're providing services.
Right. And then is anything else, if people have questions on the other things that I usually give to dance schools is I usually do headshots of the instructors for complimentary digital files for their websites. And then I will, now it's kind of gone a little out of favor, but I always used to do a group poster of all the groups with the dance school name and the year on it for them to hang in their lobby or whatever that shows off their groups. But I haven't done that in a couple of years, but you know, with COVID, we skipped a year. So, so I don't know. I have one dance school that wanted it last year. She never got back to me and said, we still want it, but she still hasn't gotten back to me with which dances she wants, because we did multiple dances for her groups. So, anyway.
Yeah. Thomas just asked, do you give your commission from net or gross sales?
I basically do gross less. Well, it's usually packages, first of all. It's not a la carte. So it's package purchases. So if they only buy, you know, 5x7s, 2 5x7s for $30, you know, $15 a piece or something for a 5x7, that's not included in the in my kickback to them. So it's usually package only. And I do just deduct, you know, the sales tax from the total from the total amount. So it doesn't include sales tax.
All right. Oh, let's look at some examples of your images. So we're talking about dance photography. We're talking about volume dance photography, kind of like, individual portraits and groups in a volume setting, right? Where you got to schedule. And how much time are you scheduling per dancer, or do you schedule by group?
Well, yeah, it depends on each group. I think everybody who's done dance knows that hip hop is your largest group. So you can't just do a one group every 15-minute schedule, because then you end up with 30 hip hop dancers and you're going to get behind. So I look at each dance and see how many dancers are in there. So we'll allocate, if you only have five, I might only allocate 5 minutes. Because it depends on the age. I mean, if they're 2 to 3 year olds, no. But if they're, 10, 12-year-olds, I mean, they're supposed to come ready with their poses as well. So I usually do 2 poses per costume. So they'll do pose 1, click, pose 2, click, and then next. And then they go to the, luckily, if I'm in a dance studio that's large enough, they go to the group area, and the instructor there will start getting the group put together while I'm finishing up each individual dancer. And then I usually just turn around because my camera's like right next to it. And then I'll just take a couple shots of the group, and then we're done. And then I'm back with the individuals. So depending on the size of the group, I want to say a minute per dancer if they're actually dancers that know what they're doing. So, but if you have younger kids that this is just kind of more of a rec league kind of dance school, then I allocate maybe a little bit more time, because they struggle with poses. They struggle with what they're supposed to do. They don't understand instruction. So I'm kind of, I add a little bit more time in for them.
Yeah. These are some really great images, by the way. But speaking of posing and the age groups, who's helping you with the posing of dancers?
Oh, well, the instructors usually always are there. I've never had a dance school that has not had an instructor. I mean, the kids respond more positively to the person that they know anyway, and they can understand what they're talking about. I'm not a dance guru, and I don't sell myself off as that. It's like I'm the photographer. And then your dance school, if you're particular about certain poses, they have to have their hands in a certain way, feet in a certain way, then I want you to be in charge of posing them so that they look the way you want them to look. So,
yeah. I guess some more questions in here. Chelsea, that would be considered some product feedback for your use case. So I highly suggest you sending us that in the support chat when you have a minute, or I can go back and grab it after this. Erica said she's provided a 5x7 print of each group, and then the studio hangs them in the hallways so parents can see all the images. That's like a great way to draw them back to the gallery as well. And then Lisa wanted to know what do you charge for individual digital files? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Well, right now I'm at $34.99. I just have been consistent with that, but I do, because we do multiple poses, and I do sell the groups digitally. I know people on the group get all up in arms about it, but I do not have a problem selling the groups digital and the individuals. And so I'll do like a 10 digital image collection, depending on how many images I think when I see how many images I take, I may adjust the price sheet and just add a few more, or maybe reduce it down to 8 or something, depending on the maximum number that each dancer may have. And then I don't discount it to less than $25 an image. So for like 3 digital images, I'll be at $74.99 or something, just to try and get that sale. But I do include prints with digitals. So I'll do packages plus digital, so they can pick a favorite digital image, and then I just bump that up $20. So if I have a $59.99 package of a few prints in there, 8x10, a couple 5x7s, then I'll add on a high-res digital file for $20 more, just to increase my AOV, and at least they get to pick their favorite digital image to keep. So that's kind of where I am. So I added on for $20. And for me, for where I live in the state of Maryland now, we need to actually separate our digital sales from our, let's just say, intangible and tangible sales. So when I look at my product report from PhotoDay to figure out my sales tax, I just know, okay, here's this one plus digital. These are all $20 a piece. So I got 5 of those, $100. And so I can easily figure out what my digital sales are compared to the tangible sales in order for tax reasons. So that's how I've been doing that.
Yeah, for sure. When you, good question here, and we'll probably get into this in a little bit. So I'm going to ask them a little bit out of order, Stella. For the, when do you make your first contact? So pre-picture day, when do you send the first contact out? How far in advance?
Well, to parents, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I like to have the information out to parents at least 2 weeks prior, especially if maybe sooner, 3 weeks if I'm asking for 50% opt-in by a certain date. Like if there's a deadline associated with that, you need to give the dance school parents enough time to make that deadline. So, you can't give them 3 days. So, I try to get that as soon as I can. And there's really no reason why they can't get me a roster with contact information. We don't need to worry about the schedule right away. So we can figure that out later, but at least getting the information out about how photos are being handled, opting in for any promotions, things like that. I would say at least 3 weeks out. For some of my schools that are repeat customers, 10-day minimum out when I start saying, hey, picture day is coming. If you want to take advantage of our promo, do an advanced pay deposit. And I do advanced pay deposits on all my accounts too. I will tell you that. There's a promo for everybody. So I use it for all my accounts.
Yeah. And don't, like, if you're new to this and new to selling online, don't wait until after picture day to start communicating. Never do that. Like if you can book the job and start communicating right away and start connecting parents to the galleries, you're going to have a higher participation rate. Because after picture day, all that buzz goes away. It's a lot harder to get in front of them. So anyone new to this, it's not the same as proofing like on paper forms, or, if you were unsuccessful with online proofing before. It's that pre-communication that's really helping you maximize participation and also help converting views to sales with advance pay. So speaking of that, we'll go on to the next thing, because I there's the whole, they'll take the cat out of the bag, is like, I don't want to retouch every single image. If I'm not going to sell the image, I don't want to retouch it. And we have a good question here for from Erica talking about the groups, and she's using a 9-foot background seamless paper, but it's hard to get all the groups for the larger groups, get them all on the paper. So do you use a wider background for groups, or can you talk about your post-processing a little bit?
Well, since I'm doing here, I just bought the Westcott 9x20. It's like the green screen material. It's sweatshirt material, no wrinkles or whatever. So I'm just using that as my background and then I do have a 9x20 roll, which I'm just going to roll across the floor. And because that's just the best way for me to do it. To be honest with you, it's really for appearance. All my groups are going to be extracted and composited on white and have reflected at it. I'm just not going to spend the money on the expensive Marley floor for 4 or 5 groups that I do a year. I'm just not going to do that. So I'm just going to, I'm photographing my light, tracking them and adding reflection. I'm photographing the on white. Now, I'm doing it this way for appearance, really photograph them on gray or whatever, but the dance instructor would probably out thinking, I thought so they don't understand things. So, and if you just, if you really want to be on gray, you can always just, speed up your shutter or whatever, So,
Stella, you broke up just a little bit when you were talking about the background and the flooring. Can you repeat that one part again?
Okay, so I do have 9 backgrounds. Actually, I think I have 10 by gray, hand-painted gray canvas backgrounds that I've had for 20 years, and they look great. I use that for the background and I'm doing gray. And I'm doing white this year, so I bought the Westcott 9x20 fabric, no wrinkle fabric background. So I'm using that and I've got Benny's white vinyl. I think that's all 9. in length. And I'm just going to stretch that in front, and I'm doing my groups there. And then I'm going to photograph all my individuals on the last delight. So it'll be last delight here. So that's how
I'm here. Got it. Yeah. Your internet's coming in and out for a little bit. So it's a little choppy right now.
Sorry about that. Don't know why it's doing it.
It started like that and then it got better and now it's back this way. So somebody's streaming lots of movies. I don't know.
I don't know. My husband came home yesterday from Florida, so I don't know what he's doing. So.
All right. So next slide we got here, some composites. Oh, sorry. Can maybe, I think we got the background is the, I'm sorry, some more questions were coming in. So I think we got the background as you're using like just the gray, right? Or
yes.
last delight. And then the flooring, they're just asking what the material of the flooring is what they're
asking. I'm doing white, just white vinyl. It's a long, it sells it. It's white vinyl. It's on a roll. Just roll it out.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right, cool. So composites, moving on. You know, this is something new you were thinking about adding in, or you used to do this, but then not, well, there was no dance last year, but right?
Yeah. Yeah, the composites are from a few years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. I really don't offer them anymore because I'm using PhotoDay, and I feel that people prefer buying images now. I didn't do a whole lot of, you know, let's just say out of one dance school of 300 girls that maybe I have requests for these. So I can do them, and I do them upon request, but it's not something that I do a lot.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just typing in the chat here so everyone.
Okay.
The background is last delight.
And I composite the groups individually. I'm photographing them as a group, extracting them as a group, putting them white and adding reflection or shadow, depending on.
Yeah. Can you give me one more name where you get that vinyl flooring? I'm sorry. Did you say Denny?
Yeah.
Broke up. Okay.
Denny. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Denny. Sorry, it's your connection. So
I don't know what's going on.
All right. Yeah, it was good and then it was bad. So, all right, cool. So let's talk about your post process too, because you're not editing all this stuff in Photoshop yourself, right? So you're cutting out or you're adding background and you're using Retouching for that.
Yes, I am. So individuals are shot full length. They'll be sent to Retouching and then flattened on white, added, same with the groups.
Yeah, it just takes the stress out of post-processing, right? Your connection's better now, so whatever happens stops.
I don't know. And yes, and so I'll do on the white with the reflection. I'll take those PNGs that I got from Retouching and not do full length. I'll crop 3/4 or half length, depending on the costume. And then I'm going to upload some backgrounds for parents to dump in their own backgrounds that they may want to choose from. So it's not just all white. They may want some background to go with their costumes and let them have a little for more choices.
Yeah, and I think it's important if you are uploading the PNGs or doing the knockouts, that reflection part or the shadow part is really important to leave it in the PNG, especially for full length, right?
Correct.
So they don't look like they're floating somewhere. Right. And then the background design matters too, right? Don't make them look like they're floating around in outer space.
Correct. Well, that's why I mentioned cropping them. If I don't have backgrounds that I think are good with the reflection or a shadow, I'm going to PNG full length. Some people want a more close up view of their kid anyway. I mean, most of my always liked more close up. So that way it'll give them an option up and then the full length.
All right, awesome. Yeah, and more variety is just going to equal more sales, right? That's the way it works. The more images, the more variety, the different things you can do, it's more inventory and inventory equals sales. So.
Yep, and then they buy 12 digital images for $3 and I'm happy.
All right, demo time. So we're going to get to the demo. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you the Capture app process. and how it sorts some dance photos. Because I think, you know, another question a lot of people have, how well is this going to work with dance, right? Every dancer looks the same. Their hair is pulled back tight in a bun, right? So, but it's, you know, it's computer vision. It's, you know, the facial recognition is looking at those features of their face. In addition to profile shots, how well does it look? So we might as well dive right in and we can show you guys what this looks like. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. And I'm going to turn off my video so I'm out of the way. All right. All right, cool. So here is the studio panel. And what I did here is I just made just the simplest data file just with 2 people on it. It's just an example of a spreadsheet that you would get from the dance school, right? First name, last name, their teacher or class, and then email addresses. Does this look pretty standard? Did I do a good job on this?
Oh yeah, that's what it looks like.
All right, awesome. So first things first is we want to go ahead and set up this job. So I'm just going to name it AADF, and I'm going to link it to dance schools. And this is my kid's dance school, by the way. That's why I picked this name. And then we'll just say picture day date is next Tuesday. And then if you have multiple days on this, it doesn't really, you can always just leave it as the first day. And then you can put any additional details you want in the communication through email or through separate marketing to the school or to the parents. And then here you can estimate the number of kids being photographed, which in this case is only 2. So, all right, here. And then I'm going to go ahead and set up the gallery access as a private gallery. I'm going to leave the expiration date open, and we'll talk about that at the end of this webinar today. And then from here, I'm going to skip the setting up storefront part, and I am going to import this subject data that I just showed you guys into PhotoDay and just show you kind of the mapping process. So I'm going to add subjects here. Now you can enter them manually. You can enter them manually on the Capture app. I'll show you a little bit of that. But if you have the data file, it's going to make life a heck of a lot easier. And over here is that same CSV file I was showing you on my screen. And then here you want to map. Now, when you map in PhotoDay, really important things to remember. The first name and last name are required. They have to be in 2 separate columns. They are required for it to create a record. There can be no blank rows or weird illegal characters in the names. So yeah, Chelsea just mentioned she had issues with Capture not matching everyone for school. So I worry about profile shots. I'm going to show you that in this demo today and how to get those matched up if for some reason it doesn't work out due to photos or reference photos, whatever the case may be. So over here, I'm going to map the email addresses. You email 1, email 2. You can have up to 3 per subject. And when these emails go out, it'll go to all those addresses. It'll cluster them together. If it's the same email, it's going to assume it's the same family. So, and I'm going to go ahead and map that data. Now, after I do that, it's going to prompt me to download the subject data, or it's going to prompt me to download the Capture app so I can view this all. And it's important that you guys do this before you leave for your shoot and you have a good connection so you can pull the data down from the PhotoDay servers onto your device that you're using before that connection is unstable. So here's my Capture app. Obviously, I haven't refreshed it yet, so it's not seeing this job, but the minute I pull down on my app to refresh it, you see the job appear here. Now, if I want to enable this to work offline, and which I highly recommend, when you go into this gallery on your Capture app, you're going to enable syncing, right? That means you can work offline, you can work in any condition here, and you want to definitely go ahead and enable syncing. And thank you, Stella, for getting all the questions while I'm going through the demo. Thanks so much. All right, awesome. So let's just go through really quick after we get this data all in here. I'm going to show you guys how to send out some pre-marketing, and we'll also touch on this a little later. But over here in the marketing section, you could create and send out your own flyer or print them and deliver them to the school if you don't have email addresses for whatever reason. However, there are a new feature of PhotoDay for private galleries. It's called campaigns. So the pre-picture day series is off by default. It's going to be a series of emails that go out to anybody that you load up in this gallery that has email addresses, right? So if you had this enabled on, it will send out information to those parents. If you're running multiple picture days, it's only going to reference the first picture day. So you might want to keep this off and use the other marketing feature here. Now, for the post picture day series and expiration series, these are going to follow the same rules as our SMS campaigns, and they're automatic emails, so you don't have to do both anymore. They're going to be on by default. If you have email addresses, they'll send, but you can always toggle them off. But again, the pre-picture day series is going to be off by default. So I just wanted to show you guys that. So back here in my job, let's see. And let's just say we sent out pre-marketing. You can check to see if they're viewing the galleries here. If they got your flyers under customers, you'll see how many people have opted in, if they're buying advance pay credits, and all that good stuff will be here. So you can see if your communication you sent out is actually reaching the parents. And then let's see, here is all the way up until picture day. And then we're going to capture some reference photos because we have a lot to discuss after this part. So just give me 1 second while I bring up a different screen. So now checking in on the capture app, you have this little filter menu at the top. You can add a filter from whatever data you have. So if they're bringing you the dancers by class, you can filter it by teacher name or by class or whatever data you have, right? You got a long list of, a couple hundred kids. The filter is going to come in very handy, or you can simply start typing in their last name here and search this way and bring them up if you wanted to do it that way. But this is going to be, or this is going to scroll like a little Rolodex. You can scroll up and down to find your content. So it really depends on how much data you have in here, but, capture should definitely be a breeze. So I'm going to take my first reference photo of my first subject, and it's Caitlin. And here I can verify data. I can edit the data if I need to, if I need to change her name for any reason, if it was spelled wrong, if I needed to add new data. It allows me to do that. And then I can go to my next subject.
Hold on. Hey, Lisa, real quick on that one screen. I just want to add, because I didn't know you could do this. And I've been having my poser, because my posers usually are my capture people. But if you go to the screen before this screen on the capture app, like X out of your phone and go back to her name, find her name again. Oh, she's checked in. I mean, you already checked them both in. Anyway, all I wanted to share is on the subjects. If you just hold down on a name, it'll pop open and you can verify that the name's spelled correctly. Or like sometimes with sports leagues, when I'm compositing teams, I need to make sure they're on the right team. If I hold okay, that's what it looks like. Well, typically it'll have the name, what the team name is. And if it's wrong, or if the name's misspelled or something, I can edit right then and there and verify that I've got the right one. I just had a baseball team where I had 2 William Kings. One was a T-baller and one was a 13U baseball player. So my posers should have checked before they took that image to make sure they were logging in the right person, but they didn't. And I didn't realize that if they held down their name, the data all pops up so they can make sure that they can then go and take the picture of that correct kid when you have 2 people of the same name. Because I have had multiple same names in schools and sports where, I had 2 Noah Lees, I had 2 William Kings. And if you take a picture and it's the wrong teacher, wrong class, wrong sports league, it can mess you up later. So it's just nice that you can verify the data before actually capturing the image to make sure you have it correct and that the name's correct and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. It is a good trick, right? So there's a lot of things. So get familiar, do some tests. If you've never used capture before, it's actually pretty fun to use. So here I have, we went in, checked everybody in. Everyone's good on picture day. Showed you guys how to edit or add somebody if they were not in the original data and they just showed up. You can add them quickly. Now, since I am connected to Wi-Fi and cellular right now, it's going to sync live. You saw the reference photos coming into the gallery as I was doing it. You do not see the record that I did add here, but it should show up as soon as I hit a refresh here on my screen. This is web software, so it is you know, you got cookies, you got cache, and you got internet connection to worry about. So there's all kinds of things going on with web software. So just usually a quick refresh solves everything. So for the most part. But here you can see everything is going to sync back and forth, right? And then from there, the next step is to upload your photos, right? So you can upload them by folder or you can upload them by individual images. I'm going to go ahead and just I have all the images here in this folder. I'm going to upload a set of images from here. There's 18 images in this folder, and I'm just going to go ahead and upload in its various costumes, various poses. And there's going to be some cases where they may not match up for whatever reason, whether it be there's no face in the photo, or it's struggling to find more of or enough of the face to be able to do a match. Now, there's this thing with capture and face find in PhotoDay, and we call it the confidence score, right? So how the matching actually works is that in the private galleries, face find has to be very, very confident, extremely confident that that match is that person in order to prevent any kind of mismatches. And that's what makes the private gallery accurate. That's also what makes it not work sometimes if you don't have enough of the face or the file size isn't large enough to see that face and make the match, right? So you definitely, for most cases of volume photography, it's going to work pretty well. But again, it depends on the quality of your reference photo. And it also depends on the quality of the images that you're uploading and if it's seeing enough of the face. So I wanted to provide really good examples here because it's real life situations that'll happen when you don't have enough of the face in the photo, right? I mean, it's just sometimes it happens. And also sometimes you forget to take a reference photo. Or maybe the reference photo, if it has more than one face in it, when you're doing these reference photos, make sure there's no other kids standing in the background because it will see them and it will put those kids in the gallery as well. Did you just get a cha-ching?
I did. Sorry.
Weird. Can you hold off on that? We're not to the dashboard app portion yet. Stop that. Stop it, Stella.
Sorry about that. Can I add one thing to what you're talking about here as far as matching?
Yeah.
So like looking at these dancers, their profiles. So obviously those are not going to get matched because they can't see their eyes, can't see nose, mouth, typically. So what I do, because you're doing multiple poses, you know who, so let's just say that first image 89371, you know who those two girls are. This not, so you know that 8959 might be basically what I'm trying to get at is the image that either comes right before it or right after that image you took face on. So a lot of times when mine don't match, I'll just go up there to the search file name up here, to the image name. Let's just say I'm trying to find 9070 over here and I don't know who that is. I'll type in 9069. And then the 9069 image will come up and tell me who it is. And I'll say, oh, that's who it is. And then I can just click on the little faces and match her up. So yeah. A lot of times you can match people up just by referring back to the image number just before or right after where you actually have a face. So you can just easily just tag those with the correct person just by, file names like that.
Right. I'm going to show you guys how to do that too here. But first I wanted to show that there is so it did find a face in this one, and this find a face and this is a profile shot, right? So, but it does see her eye or nose or mouth. There was enough of her face here to make that match, as well as in this one here, there was enough of her face in here to make the match. But let's go to the subjects overview here and you can see the unmatched, right? The ones that didn't match for whatever reason. So this is what we were talking about, Stella. So this is just how I do it. So we have these unmatched photos here. And if there's multiple photos, it's this little face here. If it's not blue, that means it did not find a face. So there's a couple things you can do this and then we have this one tool called the match modal. So the match modal here, when you highlight an image, it'll bring up the dancer and then it'll bring up all the reference photos that you had. You could then sort by people who have a reference photo, no, with match photos, none, only people mark exit, or you can sort by whatever data that you have, right? So if you know that what class that costume was in, you can pull it by teacher name and only look at people that were matched to that person, right? So if in this case for matching. Now, the way you recommended, Stella, is the way I actually recommend it too for dancers. So if I go to view all photos, I can quickly look here and you see a bunch of blue faces, but then you see this one that's not lit up blue, and that means that one wasn't matched. And I'm viewing all photos here. I can click on this person and I know that that is that person. That's Caitlin, and there's no face here in this picture. Mm-hmm. I can then take her and I can just drag her into here.
There you go.
And that's all I have to do, right? So, and this list, you can scroll up and down, you can search, or over here. So it's really easy to come in here and say, okay, I know this one is this person, but there's no face. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to see who is that matched to. Oh, that's Carly. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to match it to Carly. And I'm just going to do that one by one until all these little blue faces are lit up here. I can tell that's Caitlin. So I'm going to go and match that to Caitlin. And then anyway, you can see before and after. Hopefully you guys get a hint on what I'm doing here. And this is Carly. So I'm going to match that to Carly. And then you can get through all the ones that did not match this way for you. And it makes it pretty efficient. And that's it. Yep, drag and drop. You learn something new every day, right? So Dan, I did not address, did you address dancers that have more than one teacher and how that affects the data? You simply don't need it, right? So you don't need the data back out, which dancer goes to which teacher. You're not using that for anything, then you don't really need that. So you can just simplify your CSV. If you got a bunch of duplicates on here because they're in different classes, simplify your CSV and clean it up before you import it into PhotoDay, because it's so much easier than managing your data one by one. So always make sure that your data file here is clean before you import it. It'll save you definitely lots of work later, right, Stella? I mean, that's
right.
Look at so now I have no unmatched photos here. And then we're ready to go with the gallery, but I'm not going to go through a complete walkthrough of that part today. I just really wanted to show you guys Capture App, how it works, and how to do the matching here, because I think a lot of people struggle with this part, especially if you're new, if you don't know all the different ins and outs here. The other thing to remember, if you're doing a lot of dragging and dropping and it's a group of images, you can go ahead and select a bunch at once. And then you can drive, but instead of doing one at a time, it's a lot easier for your computer to handle and for the PhotoDay server, if you're grouping the images and dragging them over. If you're doing it that way, you'll save yourself a lot of lag time as well using those commands. And if you make a mistake matching, it's really easy to come in here and then you can move them out of the gallery or you can unmatch, right? And if you unmatch, they go back into no match. And then they're back here in the unmatched section again. So if you make a mistake, you always have the unmatched. Am I missing something here? Or is this good? Am I good, Stella?
I think you're fine. Yeah. I kind of was, so I think you're good. All
right, awesome. All right, no, we didn't talk about memory mates yet. Okay, so let me go ahead and turn my video back on, and I'm going to show your office in a minute because I'm going to turn my screen share off still.
A mess.
We were talking about this before. You're in season. You have all the excuses in the world. So if you guys, who has a clean office in the middle of busy season? Raise your hand. Is anyone? So we don't got time to clean and organize. All right, so let me go back to my slide presentation here and start it up again. And here we go. All right, cool. So let's talk about, you mentioned one of your favorite features. New features of PhotoDay was the retouching feature, especially for dance, right?
Right. Yep, exactly. So glad that that's an option. So I don't need to retouch hundreds of images, which, with dance, you're going to sell more if they look better. So that was always, everybody who does dance knows that there's a lot of editing that goes on because, especially if you're proofing online, so that they'll buy them as opposed to after the fact. So it's nice that, especially with younger girls, they tend to not really need a lot of retouching. So if you can skip that one step of editing, because for the most part, their skin is pretty smooth and they've got makeup on. Hopefully, a lot of times they're wearing makeup when they arrive. So there's really not, any heavy retouching that you typically need to do, but it's nice to have it as an add-on. So,
yeah. And in this case, this dancer had just a couple, you know, scar here and some blemishes here, and you can see it did a really natural job just removing those couple things. I mean, it doesn't over retouch, which I think is amazing, and it's important, especially on our youth. I mean, they don't want to be over retouched and placky, but it does a really great job, and it's instant. So as soon as they order it, it's instant. If they bought downloads, the downloads are retouched, and it's either sent to the lab or sent to your customer if it's a download instantaneously, and it's extra money in your pocket. So
yep,
it's really, really good. All right, so we were talking about this when we were chatting about doing this webinar. It's not just about the sales; it's also about the return on the time that you invest, right? I think that's most important to consider. Can you share some thoughts around that, Stella?
Well, right. Well, it's kind of like I mentioned a comment to Michelle about, she was mentioning that it seems like this is overwhelming. Well, there's video somewhere of the thousands of order forms I had stacked up in my office that was going to give me a heart attack. And I was working 18-hour days just to try to keep up. And Capture has changed all that. And so it's not just the sales that have increased and the average order values of my sales that have increased with going online and being able to sell multiple poses and not being locked into just one pose per order form. But it's also my personal time that I'm no longer buried in paper anymore. It's just nice to know that when my editing is done, I don't have to now get the order forms out and record the image numbers and then scan my forms and send them to the lab. I just click a button to upload them to PhotoDay and I'm done. So it's been a real life changer as far as that goes. Lisa, I was just going to back up to Dan's comments on the custom memory mates because we're kind of getting off the capture a little bit, because I think what his concern was whether the custom memory mates, and I think what he means is the team or the group and the individual on one image, how that matches up. And Dan, that matches up beautifully. It matches up to, at least it will concur that the program goes to the largest head that it matches up. So if you have a composite memory mate and you've got a large dancer and a smaller group, it's going to go to that dancer and not duplicate everywhere else. So yeah. Capture works great with the, I use it for all my sports leagues. That's all I do. That's all I do all day long. And I do 2 different poses, 2 different memory mates. And when that mom clicks on that access code, she only sees her player with his 2 different poses, memory mates, because the Capture does work that way, and it facial recognition matching perfectly for that. So hopefully that's answering your question. So it works great for that if you're doing memory mates. Memory mates for dance schools, I do have it on my order form where they can do their own. So if they want to make their own memory mate, I just have that as an a la carte option for them to create their own, so choose.
Yeah, and to answer Mark's question, if you're in a private gallery, right, and a lot of people are like, I don't want the dancers and the siblings to be able to mix and match, you know, packages, like, you know, combine the siblings into one package. Private galleries will prevent that from happening. So if everybody has their own private gallery, yes, they can check out together multiple access codes, but they load up one access code. They go ahead and they, you know, add their items to the cart, and then they add the next access code and they add their items to the cart, and then they can check out only once. As long as everybody is in that same job, you're good to go. So, but yeah, so the other thing we talked about is how it changes staffing, right? How not dealing with all this cataloging and back end office work and all of that changed how you staffed your office.
Oh,
Stella's answering
sorry.
Questions.
I am. I'm sorry. I was just because you're talking about that. Okay, about staffing for schools, you mean? So most of the time, I'm the photographer most of the time. So I do have an assistant. They're a poser when I do sports, but they're my assistant when I do dance schools. And basically they're there just to do the Capture app and to confirm that the data is correct, names are correct, whatever in the Capture app. So emails are and then they'll answer any questions out in the lobby with parents and that sort of thing. But I haven't really had to do, at school where I had like 300 kids. I did have one photographer because they had 2 rooms. One photographer was doing the groups, and I also had him doing silhouettes, like some of you may have seen Cheryl Bayshore's silhouettes. So I was photographing traditional individuals in one room, capture app, registering each girl. Then they would go into the next room for the group photo, but they'd stop at the silhouette station, and my would photograph them for their silhouettes, and then they would go on to the group net. So typically, 3 persons just for dance, and because a lot of times on space, on you even want to photograph. Sometimes you have to photograph everything on the same for on the group background because you don't have any space for an individual because it's that tight in the room, especially if you're using 70 to 200 zoom lens. It's like you can't back up far enough. So you just have to have a lot of options. You never know sometimes what you're walking into. Bring a couple different lenses just so that you have one that'll work in your situation, because you do never know sometimes on things. And but yeah, as far as staffing goes, that's it. And I mean, I do pretty much all my own editing, and once my editing's done, I just do PhotoDay, and it does take some time. But like I'm using Rabuku this year for outsourcing. I mean, I have to pick the images that I want and upload them to them and wait for them to come back, and then I'll just upload them to PhotoDay and I'm done. So yeah, I'm looking at my time. It's just going to be culling images, but not spending all that time editing. And that's partly why this year I've gone to having them do that extraction and do white, because I've never done white, and I'm not going to take the time to make sure my whites are whites. As much as make high key, difficult to make that background completely white all the way across and to be consistent. And when you've got 3,000 images to look at, I don't have time to do that. I have too much other stuff going on.
Yeah. I think we just lost you on the one part where you're talking about how many staff do you bring out on a shoot? How many staff do you usually bring out on a dance shoot?
I'd say 3 max.
3.
Individual photographer, group photographer, and then an assistant. Use the capture app or answer questions that parents might have in the lobby or anything like that.
And then to answer Lisa's question here, advance pay, does advance pay limit how the check for siblings? I'm not really understanding that, but I think what you're talking about is how do you verify that somebody made an advance payment? I mean, I definitely wouldn't get, do you police that at all, or do you just go in your system?
I don't get too hung up on it. That's why I just do I know the total number of girls that were on the CSV roster. And when I tell my dance studios that I need 50%, as long as they're at that 50%, I'm good with it. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to do it because I know that I've at least got that money. I'm going to make more. So I feel like I've got my time covered, and we're usually as long as they've made that minimum,
Yeah. And what's your turnaround time from picture day until when you're publishing? What do you really aim for?
Well, I want to say a week. I think if you turn around too quickly, I know how busy I am. If everybody expects it, if you do it in 2 days, they're going to expect 2 days next year. And your business has grown 30%, you can't get it out in 2 days next year, and then people are like disappointed because you did it in 2 days last year. So I always think if images around in a week, that's really fair to you and fair to the customer to understand what you're not just taking a picture and whipping it up on editing it. You're taking your time to look at it, make sure it looks. So professionally, I think we shouldn't have to be speedy. But again, people want to see their images quickly. All that's realistic. With my extract, I outsource. I tell them 7 to 10 business days before they'll see the gallery published. And sometimes it's sooner and sometimes it's right on that moment. It's on the time of the year too. If I'm photographing in the middle of the busy season, it's not fair to my outsourcing people to expect it to be turned around that quickly. You just have to make sure your customers have realistic expectations on when they'll get their images and be able to order. Because once they see them, they're gratified. Now it's like, okay, now they see them. So they may even take before they can make a decision on an order, but once they see them, they feel like, okay, they're good. So I think that that's fair.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring up a point here because I think Kim has mentioned it a couple of times, her accountant struggles with advance pay. So I just wanted to bring up, if your accountant is struggling with advance pay or with the reports from PhotoDay first, I would always suggest to maybe interview or take it to a different accountant to see if maybe just that person can't figure it out for whatever reason. Like, we're not all super experts at our job, right? We all need help sometimes. The second thing I want to bring up that's important is that you're not reporting advance pay for sales tax. And that's because advance pay is not a tangible item. There was no tax collected. It's a credit, and it's going to be applied towards a later purchase, right? There's two different types of accounting. You got cash basis and you got accrual. So it kind of falls into that accrual accounting where you exclude those purchase amounts and you only report it once it's applied to the product purchase. And you can sort by the purchase type, whether it's a credit sale or whether it's an order. When you download those order reports, just get rid of the credits because they're going to come back around once they're applied anyway. So hopefully that answers your question, Kim, but it's a pretty easy sort and go. And again, find accountants that are familiar with commerce sales, familiar with credit sales or accrual based versus cash basis accounting. And that should help answer your questions and keep things moving forward. So I don't know if I made that better or worse, but I get that we get asked that question all the time. So I try not to give too much overload there as well. But so post picture day marketing here is the the flyers that go out that have a sample image of the child from the gallery. You're sending these out as soon as the gallery is published, and it's just doing that auto campaign feature, right?
Yep. Yes, I definitely have. That's been very, very helpful. I did have to turn it off for a sports league because they didn't have uniforms. The one thing, and I didn't want everybody getting that, so I turned campaigns that when it went live, it didn't automatically go to people. Of course, the text, they're still going to get it, but I didn't want to double whammy with the flyer and the. Since some people's images are going to be there and some aren't, just because that is one thing that would be nice if we could turn off by team button on the advanced pay flag, like on the campaigns, like if we could select the ones, because I have to do a makeup day for a softball team and they've already opted in on job, but I'm not hold out 18 teams for the one team that but then they're going to get these emails saying their pictures are ready and I haven't even taken them yet.
Yeah. Well, definitely.
But it's working well other than that. So that's a thing that would be nice to have.
Yes, Kim, that is coming soon. Yes, the ability to send flyers, push flyers manually only to people that have not yet placed an order. And if those emails match, that's the only way we're going to be able to tell. But that feature is coming, and I want to say it's coming in days, but we'll keep you posted. Make sure you're getting our monthly newsletter and you're following along in the Facebook users group, or subscribe to our newsletters and posts that we send you out about the product, because we are constantly adding and always releasing new stuff as you guys provide us this feedback. So yes, it is coming. We talked about that. I just actually talked about it before I put it on the slide, but yes, that is coming. Feature alert. Now the SMS feature, the automatic text opt-in feature. I don't even know if you guys know this yet, because this was a change that happened last summer, and I don't even know if you realized it, Stella, but when parents are entering the galleries for the first time, even if you're only doing email communication, PhotoDay is asking them to subscribe for mobile text notifications, right? So they have the option upon entering the gallery to subscribe for SMS updates, which is our intelligent text marketing feature. Now we're asking this, they're opting in, and then they're receiving automatic communication, and that communication only goes to them until they make a purchase. So that's helping convert those views for sales. It's not just the emails, the text marketing is happening too. And you can look at your insights, to see that as well.
Nice.
Yeah. The campaign feature is something we were just talking about. I showed you guys that on the demo. Chelsea, to answer your question, the option to send flyers only to people who have not yet placed an order is going to be located in the marketing section when you create a flyer, and it's for all galleries. So you can go back to your old galleries and use that feature as soon as it becomes available. I think that's what you were asking, the reason why. So I wanted to state that out loud. And then once you publish, right, it's all about the dashboard app. You guys all have the dashboard app downloaded? Stella got a cha-ching while we were here. So only if you guys.
And it was a PD 100.
Yeah, so
better.
If you don't know what the dashboard app is, I mean, it's one of the most exciting things once you start selling with PhotoDay, because you know, a lot of times you always have to go and retrieve your information and constantly refresh on, like, am I getting sales? Am I getting sales? Who's placing orders? What are the orders? And with PhotoDay's dashboard app, it's being sent to your smartphone. It's available for both iOS and Android. It's called PhotoDay Dashboard. So definitely make sure you have that downloaded so you can see all your sales coming in and keep track of those. I would say that's probably one of your favorite features, Stella.
Yeah, it is. I think it's everybody's favorite feature. It keeps you going.
Yes. And if you're not already in our Facebook users group, please join our Facebook users group. If you're not on Facebook, you can always just, you know, create a account with your studio or join it with your studio page to get into the Facebook users group to see all of the great content being posted in there to help you along the way. And if you are brand new to PhotoDay, our model is we're a freemium model, so we only get paid when you sell. There are no subscription costs. We have some products in there as well if you're offering retouching, if you want to use our knockout service. And then our fee is 10% on the transaction fee. That's on the subtotal. Before tax and shipping, it's 10%. So, and then there's of course the credit card processing fee through Stripe of 2.9% plus 30 cents a transaction. But the greatest part is not paying those giant lab bills anymore because they are paid instantly out of every transaction. So that's how it works. And then you get all this content and all that stuff. So, all right. And that's all we got today, guys. So if you have any more questions, you guys can go ahead and answer them here. And yes, we do have some rules in the Facebook users group to be nice, for sure. Because it is a happy place and we want people sharing information relevant to PhotoDay. But yes, so if you have any more questions, don't have any more questions today, you can send them to support@photoday.io. We're happy to answer you in there. Stella, you shared a lot of great information today. So thank you so much for that.
Helps people.
Thank you so much. And yeah, if you guys need anything else, you know where to get us or in the chat bubble, and let you get back to it.
Yep. All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Learn how to turn off.